What is the most popular car of all time? Well, I've put together a list to find out. But you don't just want to see a list of boring hatchbacks, do you? So I've sorted this by car type. That means I'm going to show you the most popular electric car, the most popular convertible, the most popular supercar, and loads of others as well. And then I'll reveal which is the most popular car of all time ever. I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching Car Wow.
Buying a new car? Then head to Car Wow, and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. Car Wow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Supercars aren't built in big numbers. We all know that. Most of them are way too exotic, and that's the whole point really, isn't it? They're supposed to be more exclusive than your average sports car. To give you an example, the best-selling Ferrari of all time was the 360 Modena. Ferrari managed to sell more than 17,000 of those in the early noughties, but the best-selling supercar knocks that into the weeds. It's the Audi R8. Now this car has been around since 2006, and in that time, Audi has sold more than 30,000 R8s. And that's not bad really when you consider that the R8 was actually Audi's first ever supercar. That's a bit like winning the jackpot with your first ever lottery ticket. The best-selling electric car ever is, of course, a Tesla. No surprise really, but you might be surprised which Tesla it is. You'd think Elon's best-selling car would be the Model S because it's been around the longest. It's actually been on sale since 2012. But no, Tesla's actually sold more Model 3s than any other car, even though it's only been on sale since 2017. In total, Tesla has shifted more than 500,000 Model 3s, which makes it the most popular electric car of all time. In fact, if you took all the batteries out of every Model 3 ever sold, you could power your house for 7,000 years. That's how many batteries there'd be. If I ask you to picture a convertible sports car, a roadster, what are you thinking of? You're probably thinking of a Mazda MX5. Now there's a good reason for that. It's actually the best-selling convertible sports car of all time. It came out in 1989, and since then Mazda has sold more than 1 million of them. 1 million! And even though it's been around for 31 years, the MX5 has always stuck to the same recipe. It has to be a convertible, it has to be as light as possible, and you have to get it with a manual gearbox. This is why every generation has been great to drive. In fact, if you lined up every MX5 ever made, end to end, they would stretch around the Nürburgring racetrack 187 times. If you take convertibles out of the equation, the best-selling two-seater of any kind is the Chevrolet Corvette. It's quite similar to the MX5 on paper. The engine's at the front, you get two seats in the middle, and it has rear-wheel drive. But the Mazda's dinky little four-cylinder engine is like a tiny slice of sushi compared to the Corvette's Big Mac V8. And the Corvette is about as popular as the Big Mac too. Chevrolet has sold more than 1.7 million of them since it came out in 1953. Now Chevrolet has just introduced the new C8 version of the Corvette, and that does change the recipe ever so slightly. So instead of being front-engined, it's now mid-engined, and it's actually the best Corvette ever. You can probably guess which car is the best-selling hybrid of all time. No surprises, it's the Toyota Prius, of course. You see them absolutely everywhere. In total, Toyota sold more than 4 million of them since they came out in 1997. It was actually the first ever mass-produced hybrid you could buy. In February 2020, Toyota built the 10 millionth RAV4. This makes it the most popular SUV of all time. Nowadays, it's a big hybrid family car, but it started off as a lightweight, simple off-roader. Sort of like a Suzuki Jimny, but a bit bigger and probably safer. The RAV4 originally came out in 1994, so it's only been on sale for 26 years, which isn't that long really when you consider how many that's been sold. And when you do the maths, you work out that Toyota has sold more than 1,000 RAV4s every day since it came out. That's one every 90 seconds. A lot of people might think that the Porsche 911 is the most popular sports car ever sold because it's been around for so long and there's so many of them on the roads. However, it's not. It is, of course, an American car, and it is the Ford Mustang. You see, Ford has sold more than 10 million of them since the first Mustang rolled off the production line in 1964. Ford doesn't just make sports cars. Obviously, one of its most popular vehicles is the Transit van. It's made more than 8 million of those, but even though it's sold more than 8 million, it's nowhere near the best-selling van of all time. That title goes to the VW T2. These first appeared in 1949, and since then Volkswagen has made more than 12 million T-Series vans. Volkswagen is actually on the 6th version of its van now, so they don't look anything like the old ones. I mean, take the camper van for instance. I mean, the original camper van looked like this. The very latest one, the California, looks like that. Very, very different. However, if you like a retro looking camper van, Volkswagen is going to release something called the ID Buzz in 2022. It'll look like this, and it'll be electric only. It's quite cool. The best-selling saloon car of all time is the Honda Accord. Though bizarrely, you can't get one in the UK anymore. They just don't sell it here. Maybe we just don't like saloons anymore. Popular elsewhere though. The rest of the world loves it. And Honda has sold around 30 million Accords since it came out in 1976. That's so many that you need a car park the size of 18,500 football pitches to fit them all in. The best-selling rear-engine car of all time is, of course, the Volkswagen Beetle. Now this first went on sale back in the 1930s, and it was designed by Ferdinand Porsche. It went on to be so popular that it was still being made in Brazil in 2003. That's 65 years after it was first introduced. In that time, 21.5 million Beetles had been built. That's one car for every person in the country of Sri Lanka, in case you're wondering. Now we come to the second place on this list, and the second most popular car in the world isn't a car at all, it's actually a pickup truck. You might think pickups are just for farmers and tree surgeons, and that might be true here in the UK, but trucks are just treated like normal family cars in the US of A. And the most popular truck of them all is, of course, the Ford F-150. This has been around since 1941, and since then, Ford has sold more than 41 million of them. To give you an idea of how many that is, 41 million Ford F-150s can carry enough water in their load beds to fill more than 24,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. We can't actually buy the Ford F-150 officially in the UK, but we do get the Ford Ranger instead, smaller version. Finally then, we come to the best-selling car of all time. And don't worry, this one is a proper car, not a pickup or a van. And it's not American either, or European. It is Japanese. It's the Toyota Corolla. Amazingly, this car has been on sale since 1966, which is 54 years ago. Now, there were a few years where Toyota renamed the Corolla as the Auris, but it's effectively the same car. So I've actually included it in this list as well when coming up with these numbers. And Toyota has churned out more than 44 million Corollas since it was first launched. That is an incredible number. In fact, if you park them all end to end, the traffic jam would stretch around the world 3.5 times.